Hey guys, what is up? It is SSD Middleman here with GuidesForUsAll, and today we're going to be checking out the Infested Warframe Nidus. Sorry about the lack of in-game audio, my recording software has been acting up since I got my new processor. Nidus is a very unique Warframe in so many regards. He has no shields, only health, just like in Naros. Ranking him up will buff his armor, health regen, and power strength, as well as the normal increases that other Warframes get. And most notably, his power scales with a new energy resource known as Mutation Stacks. Mutation Stacks are built up with certain abilities and are used to cast certain abilities, as well as increasing the power of them and buffing Nidus' stats depending on how many mutation stacks you have built up. Nidus will gain 50 armor for each of the first 5 mutation stacks you get, maxing out at 250 armor. He will gain 1 extra health regen per second for every 3 stacks, maxing out at plus 7 health regen per second. He gains a 0.01 sprint speed bonus for every 1 stack, up to a 0.1% increase in sprint speed. I don't know why this is a thing. He gains a resist knockdown bonus of 30% at 35 stacks and 50% at 100 stacks, which is amazing. And lastly, he gains an elemental resistance bonus every 20 stacks, which will decrease damage taken from slash and all elemental procs besides heat, as well as decreasing the duration of them. It's also worth noting that you can have a maximum of 100 mutation stacks. Now that we're done with that, let's check out his abilities. His first one is called Virulence. It will shoot out a line of fungal infestation that deals 200 damage before mods and refunds 1/5 of the energy cost for every enemy you hit. Every enemy hit will also give you 1/5 of a mutation stack. The more mutation stacks you have, the more damage this ability will do. Virulence is the ability you'll want to be using the most. You want to use this to build up mutation stacks and keep your energy up. It deals a fair amount of damage, and like I mentioned, it deals more and more damage depending on how many mutation stacks you have, which allows it to scale into the endgame. It also works really well with his second ability, known as Larva. Larva will spawn an infested pod that erupts with tendrils, which will grab nearby enemies and pull them in. This ability looks so gross, and I love it. This will pull all nearby enemies in so that you can annihilate them with his Virulence ability and build up those mutation stacks. From what I've tested, this ability works with pretty much every enemy in the game besides bosses and ospreys, so it's pretty powerful. Larva will wither away once it cannot latch onto any more enemies or its power time has run out. This ability actually feels pretty overpowered, as every enemy in the area is instantly crowd controlled and put into one area to be destroyed. I really like it though. You'll want to do the Larva Virulence combo as often as possible to build up those mutation stacks. Next up is his third ability, known as Parasitic Link. This ability costs no energy, but rather will cost 1 mutation stack to use. This ability can be used on a single target. When cast on an ally, you and that ally will receive 25% extra power strength while the link is active. When you cast it on an enemy, a ton of great stuff happens. First off, that enemy will be disabled and will not do anything until the link is cut off. Also, a percentage of the damage Nidus takes will be redirected at them, as well as any negative status effects, knockdowns, and staggers. This ability is awesome. You can buff yourself and teammates, or just make yourself practically invincible. The only downside is that you must remain in range of the person you're linked with, or the link will be broken. Another interesting thing I found is that this can be used on bosses, at least on Ambulus, although they will continue to move around as opposed to being stunned. Plus, you can only have 1 link active at any given time. Lastly, we have his fourth ability, Ravenous. Ravenous costs 3 mutation stacks to cast and will create a ravenous infestation that spreads 8 meters outwards. This infestation will spawn maggots, which will attack nearby enemies, stunning them until the maggots explode and deal a fair amount of damage to every enemy nearby. Any enemies hit or killed by maggots will contribute to your mutation stacks. Also, anyone inside the area of the infestation will gain tons of health regen per second, a base of 20 per second, which scales with power strength. This ability is pretty great for any mission that involves staying in one area like defense, especially since the health regen will heal all allies, including rescue hostages, cryopods, and excavators. The big downside to this one is that if Nidus moves more than 90 meters away, the ability will automatically expire and must be recast. Now, those are all of his active abilities. He actually has one passive ability known as Undying. If you have 10 mutation stacks or more and you are put down to 0 health, instead of dying, 10 mutation stacks will be consumed and you will come back to life with half health and be invincible for 5 seconds. I've probably said this a million times, but this is one of the reasons why Nidus is so good at scaling into the late game. He'll have all of his stats buffed, his abilities will be more powerful depending on how many mutation stacks there are, and even if you mess up, you will be allowed to come back to life with 5 seconds of invincibility. I feel like a lot of people are going to complain about this being overpowered. Since we're through his abilities, let's check out my mod build. Do note this is an unformed mod build on screen and definitely isn't the best, so instead I'll be telling you about a better build you can use. use. You're going to want Vitality to increase his max health, Blind Rage and Intensify or Transient Fortitude to increase power strength. Continuity or its primed version is important to keep powers going for longer, especially his 4th ability. Stretch will increase the radius of his 2, so I definitely recommend that. Rage is the most important mod on Nidus since he only has health, and this will cause him to regenerate energy anytime he takes damage. You don't necessarily need Flow or Primed Flow on him, as his 1st ability and Rage will cause him to constantly regenerate energy, but you can throw it on if you'd like. Lastly, I'd personally throw on Steel Fiber, as Nidus already has a large amount of base armor, and this will help him scale into late game even better. Now you might be wondering about the negative power efficiency that this gives him. This will actually help Nidus. Since his 1st ability regenerates 1/5 of the energy cost per enemy hit, you'll gain even more energy than you normally would with negative efficiency. This mod build mostly revolves around spamming those 1 and 2 abilities together to wipe out hordes of enemies with ease and keep your energy up so you can keep casting them. If you are in a mission that involves staying in one area, then you can also cast your 4 to keep health regen high and damage enemies nearby. Overall, Nidus is an absolute beast of a Warframe, and those mutation stacks are a super cool mechanic that allow him to scale into high-leveled missions. I might have to test out how far I could actually get him into a defense or survival mission at some point in the future. Now I know what you're all thinking, what about the Infested Door? And yes, you can use Nidus to open up the Infested Door in your Lie set, although I will not spoil that in this video, so you're gonna have to go test it out yourself. Anyways, thanks for watching the video, guys. If you enjoyed, please leave a like rating down below and subscribe to see some more videos in the future. Let me know what you think about Nidus, and also check the description if you would like to get yourself a loot crate at a 10% discount. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.